No.
Yeah, Tom, sounds like strength against strength matchup late in this game. This offense will try to get started a little bit faster. Here is the lineup from Carlos Mendoza with Francisco Lindor leading things off. Mark Vientos, one of the breakout stars in the National League this year. He's continued that in the postseason. Then a couple of the staples in Nimmo and Pete Alonso, with Starling Marte batting fifth in right field. Jesse Winker gets the start at DH today over J.D. Martinez, with Iglesias, Taylor, and the 22-year-old catcher Francisco Alvarez to round things out. Jack Flaherty started Game 2 of the division series for the Dodgers and gave up 4 runs over 5 1/3, and said that he didn't think that he handled the emotions and the adrenaline of the postseason very well. Gets another chance here to harness those things, John, as he pitches for his hometown club in the championship series.
Yeah, I talked about that pressure, and there was a lot on the Dodgers, and I think you learn when you're a starter, you get out of rhythm, you get out of body experience, and you make necessary adjustments, and I think he'll be much better. But look for that four-seam fastball to be a big part of success. If he's going to get through this lineup, he spins it a lot, but he's going to need fastball command early in the game.
Take a look at tonight's same game parlay, available now on FanDuel. A couple Mets and Shohei Ohtani factoring into the equation. You can get that now on FanDuel. The Dodgers won the division series to stay alive, but as they stay alive, so does the pressure. Looking to bring home their first World Series in a full season since 1988. They hope they have the guy to get him over the top there in Shohei Ohtani. They're facing off with this New York Mets team that beat Milwaukee in the wild card round. They top of the Phillies in the division series. Can they keep this joyride going? Now 4 wins away from the World Series. Jack Flaherty's ready, and off we go in game 1 with a strike on Lindor.
Well, for Lindor, top of the zone fastballs above the hand and breaking balls down at his back foot. It's about the only way you can get him out right now.
Grounds this ball to second, and Gavin Lux for the first out of the game. Here's Mark Vientos, and here is Fox Foresight, powered by Google Cloud. You got a lot of guys in this lineup that, if you're just a casual fan of baseball, you've probably heard of. This may not be one of those guys yet, but he's making sure that everybody knows his name, as we say thanks to Google Cloud for powering these real-time insights. 24-year-old having a breakout season. Monster in the postseason, John. 429 with a pair of home runs.
Yeah, he likes to swing. He will swing and miss a lot, but he owns certain parts of the plate. And the upper part of the zone for power. But down there, you're going to be fine. Now, that established fastball height for Flaherty is huge, because this will be a breaking ball right off that plane with 2 strikes.
28-year-old from right here in Los Angeles comes home, and there is that breaking ball. You touch on him establishing that fastball. That's what Yamamoto was able to do in Game 5 after we didn't see that at all from him earlier in the series. And Flaherty tries to follow that path and tries to follow this. 24 consecutive scoreless innings from the Dodger pitching staff to get him from the brink of elimination against the Padres here to the championship series. Flaherty's 1-2 to Vientos. 2-2.
We saw some great 2-strike hitting in the previous series. I don't think the 2-strike hitting will be as good in this series. So pitchers getting ahead of hitters and getting the 2 strikes quick will have a much better success, even though these 2 lineups are long and deep.
Vientos. You know, it seems like the Mets, John, collectively down the stretch having a fight to get in, and then since the calendar slipped to October, team-wide have tailored their approach to these postseason games.
Yeah, they've been amazing. I think it's a good thing to know you can win those kind of games, but it's not a formula to live by throughout the entire postseason.
Swing and a miss through a good curveball for the second out.
Well, whatever jitters he may have had in the other game, he's been able to put them aside and establish the fastball early. You're going to see a lot of breaking balls. Low quarter, 3/4 slot coming out of Flaherty. Can spin the ball as good as anyone.
Dodgers got him minutes before the deadline. Over from the Detroit Tigers. Goes to work against Brandon Nimmo. 3-hitter for the Mets. Longest tenured New York Met. Yeah, the tears after their clinch against the Phillies told the story of his career, where he's endured a lot. Got here in 2016. Mets lost the wild card game that year. 7 full seasons, just 1 playoff series. all kinds of managers and GMs and countless losses, but finally playing deep into the postseason. On this 1-1 from Flaherty, Nimmo swings and misses. 1-2.
Well, Nimmo's had nice success here in LA, hitting .369 career in this stadium. Different circumstances now, though.
Brandon Nimmo has reached base all 7 games in this postseason. You go back to the end of the regular season, he's been a run producer for him. Kodai Senga waits for his chance. Jack Flaherty's looking for a 1-2-3 first. Count goes full on Nimmo.
Yeah, that was the pitch to go inside. That ball sailed on him out over the plate, so now he's got to come in there on a 3-2 count. And vulnerable inside is Nimmo, and that's where they tried to get that third out.
Up the middle, right at Tommy Edman. Jack Flaherty with a 1-2-3 first inning. Shohei Ohtani gets his first at-bat of the championship series when you come back. The National League's and fastest 5G network. The Dodgers coming to bat for the first time with his star-studded lineup. 3 MVPs at the top of it. And then there's Teoscar Hernandez, who's been their best hitter so far in the postseason. Will Smith catches. Max Muncy at third base. Kike Hernandez pretty much going to be in there every day at this point with what he's done. Lutz is at second. And Tommy Edman starts at short. Kodai Senga, wild card here for the Mets, has pitched a total of 7 innings all year. He missed the first half with a shoulder problem, comes back for 1 start and tears his calf. And then he shows up again, John, in the division series. 2 innings, 31 pitches against the Phillies.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a tough task here right away. This is Ohtani's best chance to get going. There'll be a lot of fork balls and off speed. They've watched film, and the Padres did a great job against Ohtani, but there's not a lot of pitchers who have the arsenals that the Padres did to kind of keep him at bay.
A lot of that was one guy, Tanner Scott, coming at him out of the bullpen, struck him out all 5 times that he faced him. That's a chopper right side, picked up at second base by Iglesias, and they get Ohtani, who's now 2 of his last 18.
And they've slowed it down a lot. That fork ball there comes out and almost tumbles, right? Acts like a changeup. So he'll use that pitch a lot for the time that he's in the game, which may not be a lot.
The ghost fork, it's known as, because the way that it disappears. Rode that pitch to a huge rookie season last year. Hitters hit 110 against it. And he was an all-star his first year over from Japan. His first pitch to Mookie Betts is inside. This is a key guy here for the Dodgers, John. We were talking about that through the division series. It seems like he was freed up, those 2 home runs to get him going in San Diego.
Yeah, he definitely looks like a different hitter, and the narrative has changed. That's how quick it changes in the postseason. You just can't pay attention to the noise. Hard to do, though, when you're in a market like LA and the expectations they have. They want to know why you're 3 for your last 30-some. They're not going to ask him that anymore. He's had good numbers, obviously. 3 for 3 against Senga.
The home run when the Dodgers saw him last year. On this 2-0 pitch, Mookie Betts takes outside for ball 3. Senga with 11 years in Japan. He signed a 5-year contract with the Mets prior to last season. Fires a 3-0 pitch. And he's walked Betts on 4 pitches.
Well, the one thing about Mookie Betts, he will not expand the zone. He may struggle to get some hits, but it won't be because he's chasing and expanding the zone.
Here's Freddie Freeman, who in the final week of the regular season injured his ankle. The doctors told him, look, buddy, this is like a 4 to 6 week injury. He said, I got to find a way to play. One of the best hitters of this generation has been in there, has gotten 4 hits, even somehow stole a base, and hopes to benefit from a little more time off after the division series.
And he's been ultra aggressive early in the count.
Something to watch for here, John. Mookie Betts in the Dodger running game couldn't really get going against San Diego, but they've been aggressive all year on the bases. The Mets have had their issues controlling the running game. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I mean, the biggest thing is if you can get Betts to second. I mean, anything on the ground against Freeman more than likely is a double play. You just can't run.
Nice pick by Alvarez. The count goes to 2-1 on Freeman as Senga's fallen behind Betts and Freeman.
Yeah, the fork ball has definitely been spiked a couple times here, to say the least.
I mean, what do you expect, though? The guy's 7 innings all year, and this is a Mets rotation that's been the strength the last couple months. Senga not included, but the upside is just so high. They're going to get what they can out of him.
This would be a great count to go if you're Mookie Betts. 2-1. You got a guy that commands the strike zone in Freeman. He won't swing just to swing. If it's in there, he'll hit it.
Betts leaning, not going. Fouled off.
I think he was.
It was.
I think he was. Yeah, he basically was timing him up and then just got caught too far out and stopped.
All the players in this game right here. This game within the game. 2-2 on Freddie Freeman. And a toss over, so that's a second disengagement. On the next one, he has to get him or it's a balk, and Betts gets second. Freddie Freeman, who's hit 31 home runs against the Mets in his career. There goes Betts, then throws on the brakes, and it's ball 3. Pretty frisky over there, but yet to break. Now you got to figure he's rolling. There he goes. Here it comes. On ball 4. Back-to-back walks. Oscar Hernandez coming to the plate with 2 on and 1 out in the first inning. And John, you got the 3 MVPs at the top of the order, and then this guy lurking behind him, their best hitter so far in the postseason.
Yeah, he's been very comfortable, and he's been really protecting the plate. You know, he's a swing and miss guy, but a lot of power, and if you leave it over the plate, he crushes it. Now, every well-laid plan sometimes goes awry if the opening innings don't go well for a guy who's got a short outing ahead of him.
First pitch to Hernandez. So are you saying they got to start thinking about getting somebody up already?
Yeah, and they may not have the luxury of going to Peterson. Let's say in a perfect world, if the Dodgers get a few runs in this inning, I would imagine it could change the strategy of who they use behind him.
Senga only 3 strikes out of his first 13 pitches, and not close here. Yeah, the plan is to piggyback with David Peterson, the left-hander, but they'd like to line that up so he faces Ohtani at least a couple times. So you would need a bridge to get to that point.
Yeah.
If you had to pull the trigger on a move already.
Well, there has been no repeatable delivery where there's any consistency of where that ball's going. The cutter is the only pitch he's been getting close to the plate.
He's facing Teoscar Hernandez. A grand slam and another home run in game 5 on 2-0. Takes ball 3. This is not a lineup who chases often. In fact, they chase less than any team in baseball. And sticking to that disciplined approach so far in the postseason.
And this is a guy that I would expect could have the green light. If it's central, gotta let him swing.
3 consecutive walks from Senga. And Jeremy Hefner already with a visit to see the guy that was supposed to be the ace of this staff this season. Shoulder starts hurting him during spring training. Makes his long-awaited return in July and pitched fantastic. But then 6 innings into that game, steps off of the mound and oh no. Tears his calf, misses the rest of the regular season. As he's trying to come back from that, his triceps started barking on him, so he didn't have any ramp up as far as a minor league season. His first time back into facing hitters was in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a tough task, and tough task to state the obvious right now here in the first inning. Bases loaded. This is going to be a big-time strategy difference for the Mets if this inning gets blown open.
We asked Dave Roberts a couple hours ago, John, who's your pick to click for this game? Because he picked correctly in Game 5. He said Teoscar Hernandez, and then he homered. And Dave Roberts' answer was Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith is another guy where he doesn't expand the zone, and he definitely has his power stroke when he get it over the middle of the plate, especially in.
First one from Senga. Smith flies it to center field. Taylor's got a good arm, settles under it, makes the grab. Here comes Betts, throws on the brakes, and Taylor's throw bounces in there. 2 out.
Oh, I am surprised by two things. First of all, Taylor sat and caught that ball flat-footed. I know he's got a great arm, but he had no momentum to get the ball down and throw it on a line, almost conceding. It looked like, you know, he thought he was going to score easy. This fly ball right here, I'm shocked that Mookie and his speed didn't go. And then the throw, of course, comes in a little bit off the mark.
Yeah, it feels like a situation where you got to push the envelope. So it's up to Max Muncy to cash in here with 2 away, and he takes a strike from Senga, who's got a chance to pull a miracle right here.
Yeah, circle that at bat. I mean, Will Smith did his job and hit it deep enough, in my opinion, again, deep enough to score a run, but now it's up to Max Muncy.
Senga brings him in 0-1. In the dirt, Alvarez chests it down. Francisco Alvarez has given up more pass balls than any catcher in the majors this year, but a couple big stops in this first inning.
Well, the new theory of knee down with the catchers to help them steal strikes has not helped them block balls. So pressure early on with the bases loaded and that split finger that Senga likes to throw.
3 walks to load him up. 1 ball, 1 strike on Muncy. Senga delivers. Muncy takes high. That's where the Padres went against Muncy, who was just 3 out of 18 in the division series. Early on in that series, chased up after it a bunch. Dave Roberts sat him down. He said, Max, you got to be disciplined. You can't give in to where they're trying to get you to go. The 2-1. Into center field, and the Dodgers cash in. Betts in to score. Freeman lumbering home. He'll score as well. 2-0 LA. Max Muncy delivers with 2 gone in the first. And Freddie Freeman out of gas. That ankle throbbing. Able to touch home and set this place off.
Well, a huge 2-out hit on a cutter. He didn't see the splitter. He went to the cutter and he hits it right up the middle. Freddie had such a huge lead, even with a bad ankle, he was able to score and totally redeem that inning.
Those feel like runs the Dodgers had to have.
Oh, especially with the bases loaded and 1 out and a pitcher struggling to throw strikes. So good start for the Dodgers.
Freeman wanted to collapse into Betts' arms there as he got home. 2 out. Kike Hernandez. They chant his name. That's a wild pitch. Up the third goes Hernandez, into second Muncy.
This one wasn't even the fork ball. I mean, he threw that 49 feet, 56 feet.
1-0 on Kike Hernandez. Second and third, 2 away in this first inning. Already 2 in the bank for the Dodgers. Bounce to Senga. He'll go to first. And in this first inning, but the Dodgers jump on Senga. He walks the bases loaded. Muncy comes through after a quiet division series. He begins the championship series with a 2-run single in the first. And Ohtani and the Dodgers are off to a good start. In inning, Dodgers have the game's first 2 runs, and it's Pete Alonso to lead things off. Pete had the kind of home run you dream of as a kid, didn't he, in that wild card round to save the Mets season?
He sure did. And as improbable as that was, it's been as improbable as their run. You think about what they've had to do to get to this point, and really the formula is like, aren't they undefeated when the other team scores first?
I was going to say, Carlos Mendoza's team's got the Dodgers right where they want them. Down 2. Mets have been coming back all year. On ball 2 strikes on Alonso.
I'll tell you, at some point in this series, Pete's going to have to change the narrative of being very passive. He's taken a lot of strikes. Now he's looking for that one in the zone that he can just unleash and let it go, but throwing a lot of balls at the bottom of the zone.
Jack Flaherty with a 1-2-3 first inning. Had the swing and miss stuff working like he didn't in the division series. Tries with a 2-2 and gets a swing and a miss. A chase on a breaking ball. Second K already for Flaherty.
That's the power and of establishing the height of your fastball, meaning that's how strong you can be and getting hitters to chase. If you don't hit with your fastball, it's hard for these hitters to go after that pitch. But that looks like a good fastball coming out of his hand. And of course, tremendous spin and a swing and a miss.
And now it's Starling Marte with the bases empty and 1 away. A fastball for a strike. Marte, 36 years old, throwback hitter. 285 for his career, and they say he set a really good example for what we're talking about, this team-wide approach here down the stretch where it's been bat to ball, it's been situational. This is a guy who doesn't have to change anything about who he's been to reach that approach.
No, he is definitely a threat at the plate to move runners over, get him in. Man, has he been through the gamut with his injuries? Not 1, but 2 legs.
Yeah, had double groin surgery a couple years ago, migraines that he dealt with, and then 2 months with a bone bruise this year in his knee. Eased him back after that knee injury. Weren't playing him every day, weren't playing him in the outfield much, but as he's gotten healthy, right in the middle of a lot of their rallies.
You take his power out when he gets fastballs down. He likes that ball like most of the hitters, up, middle, belt. That's where he does his damage.
2-2. So full count on Marte with Jesse Winker waiting on deck. What a night we've got. Temperature in the 70s. Sun setting. Soon it'll be bouncing off of the mountains in the distance. Game 1 of the championship series. Marte takes a fastball for strike 3. 5 up and 5 down for Flaherty with 3 Ks against these New York Mets that started the season 0-5. There were 11 games below 500 2 months in. Instead of folding, though, they found it. They've been the best team in baseball since the start of June. They were the last team into the field. We talked about Alonso's swing to get him through the wild card round. And then they go on top of the favored Phillies to reach the championship series for the first time in 9 years. See, Winker takes ball 1. And now they got to face off with the 1 seed. But who's next, the Mets say? Bring on the next, the way they've been going. Jesse Winker starts at DH today. Cracks one on the ground to second. Jack Flaherty's retired the first 6 that he's faced. Frustration for Senga and the Mets so far. The Dodgers get 2 against him. A little jubilation, a little relief for Freddie Freeman and the Dodgers. Middle 2-zip. Baseball, get personalized highlights and more on the MLB app today. Gavin Lux starts the second in a 67-mile-per-hour eephus-like pitch from Kodai Senga, who's looking for any way to get in that strike zone.
Yeah, the biggest thing you got to do when you get that first inning under your belt, get back out to the mound and your warm-up pitches, start finding that strike zone. And he's going to have to find it soon.
Ball
because the Dodgers are on a nice roll offensively. They're on a little bit of a basketball run. They're on a 16-0 run.
We need a timeout.
16 runs to 0.
That is since they got put right on the ropes, and it felt like down there at Petco Park that we're hours away from their season ending early again.
I know it's easy to say that we just don't care and we're going to go out and play, but when you're down 2-1 against your divisional rivals and the pressure's on you to get to the World Series, I don't care what their mantra is, they responded, and that's the key. They responded, got the wins that they needed, and you can just sense a freedom. I mean, this series is going to be a tough one against the Mets, don't get me wrong, but you can sense a freedom of that's behind us.
Different inning, same story here. The 4th single walk to the first 8 hitters. Play the MLB Playoffs Fox Super 6 Challenge today. It's free to play. Download the Fox Sports app. Then make your picks for a chance to win your share of $5 grand in cash prizes. And don't miss any of the playoff action this week on Fox and FS1. Tommy Edman with the leadoff man aboard. Shohei Ohtani waiting on deck. Time called. Pitch clock violation.
Man,
this is just a disaster so far.
You cannot start out any more wonky than Mr. Senga has in this game. And yeah, it's only game 1, but his job was to set the tone, not go deep, pitch maybe 3 innings. And
Edman pushes a bunt beautifully to third. Mark Vientos will throw him out. Tommy Edman giving the Dodgers a little something that they haven't had before he arrived. Declared at the deadline from St. Louis. He moves a man into scoring position and gets Ohtani to the plate.
Well, interesting strategy there with Ohtani on deck, and I think Dave Roberts is fine to say if you want to walk him, go ahead. I got Mookie Betts behind me, but most times you would want some pressure when Ohtani's at the plate without the freedom of a base open. But part of that might be because Mookie Betts seems to be better locked in, that you don't care if they decide to walk Ohtani.
And what's on the bases or not has told the story for Ohtani so far in this postseason. He's got a man on here. He's been way better with men on base. First one from Senga is grounded right side and through. Ohtani delivers again with a man aboard. Lux is in to score 3-0. While Ohtani's 0 for 15 with the bases empty, John, he's now 5 out of 7 with men on base.
Yeah, and because it's so early in the game, if this is later, they're not going to pitch to Ohtani. He takes an outside pitch and finds the hole. Hits it on the ground. That's what the pitcher wants. When you're facing Ohtani, you want the ball on the ground. Speaking of the ground, there's a good chance we're going to see some stolen bases now for the first time in a while.
Already a pitching change for the Mets. Just 10 hitters for Senga. Already 3 on the board for LA. Reed Garrett comes in. They roll the dice a little bit, starting Kodai Senga at any point at this point after just 1 start during the regular season, and it's bit him today. Dodgers with 3 runs and Ohtani at first. This is the first chance Ohtani's had to steal a base as Reed Garrett checks in.
It sure has, and now the pressure solely on the Mets, who have struggled in the running game.
59 stolen bases for Ohtani. Mookie Betts takes strike 1. Through the first of 3 consecutive walks for the Dodgers in the first inning, and came in to score their first run. Ohtani not going. Betts slices a liner to second. It's caught by Iglesias, and a good thing for Ohtani and the Dodgers that he wasn't moving. Able to get back to the bag, 2 away.
I'm still dropping that. I'm dropping it, and I'm getting Ohtani off the bases. He's more of a threat to steal than Mookie is. Not that Mookie's any slouch on the bases, but I'm dropping it.
Just so hard to do it in the moment. It's coming so fast.
I don't know. It is hard. It is hard.
2 out, and Freddie Freeman walked and came in to score. He takes outside. You know, Mets fans are saying, John, really, we got to deal with this guy still? Like, he leaves Atlanta, get him out of the division, and now he's in our path trying to get to the World Series, because this has been the modern Met killer with 31 home runs against New York. This year alone, 391 with 8 driven in against the Mets.
You know what I have a feeling of? Wow. Everything that has bothered the Mets and gone wrong over the is gone. Like, that doesn't bother them anymore. They have exercised everything. Their past hasn't been great. They're enjoying it now. The Mets fans deserve this run, which has been historic and dramatic.
Yeah, it really is amazing that for a franchise for so long, the vibes were part of the story, but they were part of the punchline. It was part of what was wrong with the Mets, and now the good vibes have become the whole thing.
It really has turned it upside down because, look, you and I both followed the Lions for a long time of our career. You know how that goes, right?
Pretty well today.
But the city gets on fire when a team captures their imagination in ways you don't expect it. And the unexpected victories have just energized not only the city, but this team. And they've grown together. So, yeah, they're down 3-0. That's peanuts compared to what this whole run has been on for them. They still may not come.
Ohtani runs. Throw from Alvarez. In time. Ohtani's caught trying to steal for the first time since July. And Francisco Alvarez, who got picked on early this year in the running game, with a nice moment right there. Ends a 36 for 36 stretch for Shohei Ohtani on the bases. Largest and fastest 5G network. Top 3, 3-0 LA. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. And if the story of these Mets is the good vibes, the face of that magic is this man right here, Jose Iglesias.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Not afraid early to swing aggressively, but hitting .294 with 2 strikes. So that tells you he's comfortable with his mechanics of making contact when he needs to. He's played great defense and filled in for the injured Jeff McNeil.
On this 1-1 from Jack Flaherty, takes down and away. Iglesias came up at the end of May. Major League best 337 overall, and has given the Mets, I don't think it's overblown to say, a season-changing spark with that production, but then with his personality and his positivity as well. And, of course, his song, right?
Yeah.
OMG. Your ringtone now.
It might be.
Lights it up.
I know this. If you're going to get the bottom of that zone right there, that's going to be tough on hitters. And good for Jack Flaherty because he has the pitches to accomplish swing and misses off the low fastball. 2-2. Fly to center field.
Kike Hernandez drifting back. Puts it away. Flaherty's retired the first 7. You can take your pick at what turned this thing around for the Mets. There's so many different things, and man, it's there's no one right decision, but there's so many different things that, wow, maybe that was what instigated it. Maybe it was Grimace, the McDonald's mascot, that threw out the first pitch. They haven't lost a game since. They won 7 in a row and took off from there, and then you get Pete Alonso's home run the day that he picked up what he calls his playoff pumpkin at a market in Wisconsin. They can do no wrong at this point, this Mets club. As you said, the whole city is falling in love with. It's not just the comeback wins and the run. It's this cast of characters, whether it's Pete Alonso, who, you know, the longtime staple, or it's Iglesias like we're talking about, or the hometown GM. There's just so many stories to latch onto as they make this run. Tyrone Taylor is in an 0-2 hole.
Well, they went through a really bad stretch in May. We talked about it in the open. The Dodgers went wire to wire. I believe the Mets were down 10 to 11 games from the Atlanta Braves. There's nobody that could have predicted that kind of second half run and catch them the way they did basically on the last day of the season, that extra day doubleheader.
That is fouled off, and the Dodgers last saw these Mets back in May, unrecognizable at this point. They swept the Mets at Citi Field, and in doing so might have sparked the turnaround. That's another one of those moments that people point to as when things change. Dodgers swept them, and then they had a team meeting afterwards they've referred to a bunch since then, where Francisco Lindor called the players together and he said, hey, we got to start being more accountable. Are we really working as hard as we can? Are we really doing what we say? Other veterans spoke up. J.D. Martinez said, hey, everybody thinks we stink, and let's be honest, at this point we sort of do. Let's think together. Let's start having some fun. There's no pressure on us. Smith can't find it. Now he does. 2 out. And so that low point, it turned into a turning point. It was ugly. Mets were 11 games below 500 at that point. Jorge Lopez got ejected and threw his glove into the stands. And it felt like it was time to turn the TVs in Queens off for the summer. But they have turned it around from that point under the steady hand of Carlos Mendoza. This is not just a feel-good story. This is the #1 team in baseball since then.
Yeah, he's done a nice job. First-year manager coming over from the Yankees.
Alvarez, the 9-hitter, strike 1.
Get used to that swing. You're going to see those swings a lot. He definitely takes a rip at it, and when he connects, he can hit it a long ways.
How about Jack Flaherty so far? 8 up, 8 down, responding to the rough first start of the postseason.
Yeah, he's making a lot of good first pitch fastballs from in the zone, and he really hasn't missed in the middle of the plate yet.
You mentioned that he said he didn't feel like he handled the pressure of the postseason, his first start in the postseason in a few years, but that he was done trying to be perfect. I'm going to let it happen, he said. "28 years old, Sherman Oaks Little League, not too far from here at Harvard Westlake. On to the Dodgers, pitching in the postseason in the park where he grew up coming to games as a kid. He's gone full on Alvarez with Lindor on deck.
Well, that's an impressive 3 takes by Alvarez on 3 pretty good pitches. But this is where he can turn into still an aggressive 3-2 count. When you have a guy that may not look to walk much, is looking to hit, as a pitcher, you don't have to necessarily throw a strike in 3-2. Just got to make it look like it.
David Peterson's ready, which is interesting because Ohtani just hit. Another payoff. Another foul. Alvarez has fought off a few. The 8th pitch coming from Flaherty. That's looking for their first base runner. Instead, Jack Flaherty's got his 3rd perfect inning. And the Dodgers have a 3-0 lead in game 1.
Manager Dave Roberts. Dave, Jack Flaherty, 3 perfect innings. What do you like most about what you're seeing so far?
I love the life to the fastball. I think he's got life in the hitting zone. I love the command of it. And if he's got that, I love his spin. And right there, even that last at bat right there, to get a strikeout right there was huge. I just think he's in really good control right now.
You're coming off an emotional series victory against the Padres, and yet you've got to get right back to it. How would you gauge the intensity level of your club coming into this game?
You know what, honestly, Kenny, I think it's the same as game 1 in the year. That's a big hit right there. You know, that's the one thing we wanted to guard against after an emotional series against the Padres, to not make sure we let down. And from pitch 1, it just seemed like, you know, our intensity, our focus is there. You know, the first couple innings, I thought we took really good at bats.
What about Freddie? Just his ability to get on the field, and Mookie saving him when he crossed home plate.
Mookie certainly saved him right there. That's what good teammates are for. But yeah, this guy's will to post and desire, it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Dave, thank you.
All right, Ken.
One of the best hitters of the generation in consistency at the plate, but dependability. He is almost always in there. And Freddie Freeman's on for the 2nd time in this game. Strike 1 on Teoscar Hernandez. And Freeman 10 games off in 6 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
2 years with the Dodgers, he had started all but 1 game. The only game that he didn't start was the day after they clinched last year. This year, a different story. Missed 15 games for a variety of reasons. It was the ankle at the end of the year. There was a broken finger that he suffered earlier. Dodger fans know well, and if you watch the division series, you know the story of his son Max, who went through some really scary health problems, and Freddie was away from the team for that. So the injuries are that's the small stuff that Freddie Freeman's had to navigate this year. And even what he calls the most challenging and exhausting year of his career, 4th in the league in on base. Again, one of the best hitters out there. Reed Garrett to Teoscar Hernandez with a 1-2 pitch. And got him on the outside corner with a cutter.
Well, and because he had so many years with the Braves, he basically is first in almost every category against the Mets.
Right.
You know, only Harper and a couple others is he behind. So very familiar with the Mets, and the Mets are very familiar with Freddie Freeman.
First strikeout of the game by a Dodger hitter. And it brings up Will Smith, who has homered 3 times against the Mets this year. He's just 2 out of 17 in this postseason. You were saying, though, you would never know it just by watching the body language and watching the swing.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a couple good swings. He's worked the count. He's worked a couple big walks. You know, when you're catching every game, and there's the days off in between, but you're catching every game, it takes its toll. And he's done such a great job of, we talked about cutting down the running game, managing his pitchers, and coming up with big hits. He's got power for his size and the position he plays, which demands so much.
Yeah, the babyface catcher is now in his 6th year and signed through his age 39 season with a long extension this spring. And an 0-2 hole. And back-to-back Ks for Garrett. Start planning your 2025 ballpark visits. Go to MLB.com/tickets to learn more. With the left-handed batting Max Muncy coming up, and Lux, a lefty, a couple hitters away. Looks like this is going to be the run where they go to David Peterson. Having to use one more pitcher than they had planned through this part of the game. Senga's early exit means that Garrett has to throw to a couple hitters, and Peterson will come in when you come back. It's David Peterson. You could argue he was their best starting pitcher during the regular season, but he's moved into the pen here in the post and been a weapon.
He sure has. Downhill with his fastball, not overpowering, tough to pick up, little slider, change up, but pitches in the strike zone and throws a lot of fastballs. And those two combined will be 58% fastballs between his sinker and four-seam.
Freeman at first base, 2 out. Muncy, who knocked in a pair in the first inning, is taken outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pitcher profile is sponsored by Farsiga. 29 years old in his 5th season. So much potential for the former first-round pick. He missed the first couple months of the year coming off a hip surgery. 10-3 with a 290 as a starter, and then 6 1/3 scoreless innings out of the pen so far in the postseason.
You know, before, when he was having problems, he just had trouble throwing strikes. Now he's filling up the strike zone and pitching to contact. He can swing and miss you, but that has been the single turnaround for him and the Mets. And man, what a great year at the right time for the New York Mets.
You know a little something about what fixing your hip can do for your body too, right?
Absolutely.
Had a 5 ERA last year, had the hip surgery. Career year this year. His 1-2 to Muncy. It is swung on and missed, and David Peterson begins his day with a strikeout. Now, Muncy had a 2-run single in the first inning, down on strikes this time.
Kodai Senga never really found his split, didn't find the strike zone much. What did you see as his biggest challenge?
Yeah, he definitely didn't have it today. With the ball, with the way the ball was coming out of his hands, we didn't see that extra zip on the fastball. And then some of the pitches that with the split, they were balls out of the hand, and it was an easy take for them. He just didn't have it today.
Carlos, not ideal, obviously, to have 3 pitchers get your first 9 outs, but you've got a guy who can give you length, and David Peterson. How are you set up to cover the rest of the game?
I feel pretty good about it. You know, obviously, Petey can go multiple innings, and I'm giving the offense a chance here. Our bullpen is rest up. We should be all right.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The one clear advantage the Mets have is that they had 3 days of rest coming off of the early division series win over the Phillies that the Dodgers didn't have. And so those arms all rested as Francisco Lindor leads off this 4th as they look for their first base runner against Jack Flaherty. On 4 pitches, Lindor, a leadoff walk. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Google Cloud, the official AI partner of MLB. Catch the game like never before with Google Cloud AI. Some of the faces that have worn both jerseys. There's the Mets uniforms, the blue of the Dodgers, the orange of the Giants, after those two teams departed New York in the 1950s. The Mets hatched a decade later. 3-0, top of the 4th. Vientos takes the ball. 5 misses in a row from Flaherty.
Yeah, uncharacteristically, he's been commanding the strike zone and really been dictating the tempo for the Dodgers and putting the Mets hitters on their heels. And this kind of a free gift. You don't want to give too many gifts when you have a lead of 3-0.
By the way, John, the Dodgers 27 consecutive scoreless innings. Lindor's walk right there snapped a streak of 27 consecutive hitters retired.
No hitter, huh?
A perfect game. Wow. A little postseason wink to Don Larson here with the Dodger pitching staff. Have not given up a run since that 6-run second inning in Game 3 on Wednesday.
Well, the Dodgers it's pretty simple. They are going to win with their bullpen, right? They showed what they could do against the Padres, but this would go a long way for Dave Roberts if he can get 5 to 6 innings out of Flaherty. It's a long series unless you win 4 straight.
They're like a house by the side of the road. Vientos watches strike 3. Already the 5th for Flaherty.
One of the hottest hitters in the postseason for the Mets has now gone down via 2 Ks, and that one did catch the bottom of the strike zone.
1-on-1 out, and the hitter's Nimmo. Good wheels over there at first in Lindor. So out of his handball.
So what do you think? Lindor and Freeman are talking about all the training and rehab and all the things they had to go through. Lindor not too long ago couldn't walk, right? And a different reason, with a bad back, couldn't throw a ball from shortstop.
And it seems like the way he's come back from that, going through that and returning to push him to where he has, that's only added to this growing legend. And he's gone from being somebody that they booed 2 months into this year, his 4th one in New York, still not fully embraced, to a hero over the course of a summer. Fly down the left field line. Muncy points it out. Hernandez spots it and catches it.
Well, I've always said about the postseason, it can undo a not so good season if you have a good postseason, and the flip side's true too. You could be a monster regular season and not have a good postseason. They won't care 2 bits about your regular postseason. It's over magnified. It is what it is, and those who have been there, done that a lot, know how to deal with the narratives and really kind of the overkill of how it's viewed.
Alonso. Pete saying, yeah, you're right. Preach, buddy. Because it looked like he was going out on a whimper with 4 of his last 30 to finish off the regular season. Tipped his helmet to the hat. The home finale looked like that may be the end of his time with the Mets, but then that one swing changing everything for their season, for the tone of his season, and who knows, maybe for his long-term future, whether that's in New York or not.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have many scenarios play out like this. They did check and he did swing, where you're on the final year of your contract and the team goes into the postseason, where a lot can change. It might even add to the narrative of the re-signing if he continues to get big homers.
Homegrown star in the final year of his contract. Ahead 2-1 here. Debuted in 2019, the rookie record 53 bombs that first year. 226 for his career, which is more than anybody in the National League since his debut. Within 27 of Darryl Strawberry's Mets record, as you saw a second ago. On this 2-1 pitch, Alonso pops it up into the seats. 2-2.
Tough sky right now. You got to be paying attention to that ball in the air.
Struck Alonso out with a breaking ball out of the zone his first time. Tried the same, but overthrew it a little bit.
In that last series, if I was Jack Flaherty, I would be watching how Aaron Nola pitched Pete Alonso, because he really pitched him incredibly well and struck him out on low fastballs when you thought the breaking ball was coming.
Lindor the head start on a 3-2, and it misses for ball 4. Alonso draws the 2-out walk, and the Mets have the tying run coming up, even though they don't have a hit in this game. And it's Starling Marte. Well, the first bit of adversity here for Jack Flaherty brings Mark Pryor, the longtime Dodger pitching coach, out of the dugout. Once he gets a word from Mark Pryor, we get a word from Capital One.
There's no crying in baseball. Or with the Capital One Venture Card, because it lets you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day. Let's play ball!
Dodgers 3, Mets nothing. Game 1 in this best of 7. Rematch of the '88 championship series. A couple division series in the years since. And Jack was actually there as a fan the last time these teams met up, 2015. He was in the seats watching Jacob deGrom beat Kershaw in his postseason debut. He just finished up a ball that year, Jack Flaherty. 2 on, 2 out. His first pitch to Marte is a strike.
2 breaking balls for Flaherty. The slider, which is firmer, the curveball, which breaks a little bit more, and they really do give right-handed hitters fits when he throws both of them in the same at bat.
Fly the other way. Mookie Betts is going back, steps onto the track, throws on the brakes, and puts it away. Jack Flaherty, 4 no-hit innings in the ballpark he grew up coming to as a kid. It's been a rough stretch for him. He's found it tonight, and his team leads 3-0 to the bottom of the 4th. Today to Hurricanes Milton and Helene Recovery. Going to redcross.org/MLB or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS. Kike Hernandez takes the first pitch, curve for a strike from David Peterson. Two.
Had a huge first pitch homer. Virtually was the only run they needed in the game 5. He's been we talk about one of those players, steps up, locks in. Postseason totally different than a regular season.
A below average hitter during the regular season throughout his career, but he has transformed in the postseason to homering at a Manny Ramirez-like pace. 14 home runs in 75 postseason games. On a 1-2, Hernandez pokes a base hit the other way. A 2-strike single to open the 4th for Kike Hernandez. Let's go down to the field and Tom Verducci.
Well, Joe, in the division series, the Mets were able to take advantage of the Phillies' aggressiveness by getting a lot of chase swings. The Dodgers, completely different when it comes to plate discipline. So far tonight, the Dodgers have seen 25 pitches out of the zone. They've swung at only 2 of them.
I mean, that makes life tough if you're on that mound.
Yeah, and that's why the Dodgers and the Padres were going to be such a great series, because they kind of mirrored each other and how tough they were on opposing pitchers, especially starters.
Luck shows bunt. And this is the second sacrifice for the Dodgers. These big-time bats playing a little small ball here. Edman did it in the 2nd. Lux does it in the 4th. Speaking of Edman, he's coming up. The feeling was, John, that this offense is a little more versatile. It's not just home runs, not going to go missing the way it has in previous Octobers, and the ability to do things like this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's not a fluke that they're the best team in baseball. Offensively, they do a lot of good things, and it starts at the top of the lineup with Ohtani. It's really for the first third of the season, it was all first 4 hitters. lately 7 through 9 has helped out big time. And when you get production on and base runners out of 7, 8, 9 to turn it over to that top of the lineup, man, that's a lot of stress to put on pitchers continuously.
And we talked about how much better Ohtani's been in this postseason when he's had guys on. Got the corner there. Ball and a strike on Edman. Here the Dodgers during the regular season, 10 sacrifice bunts total. 2 of them tonight. And one of the things that had gone missing in those division series defeats previous years is the ability to hit in these situations where they've been awesome this October.
Well, before it gets too late back home, I'm going to wish my sister a happy birthday.
Nice
Bernadette,
work.
happy birthday, Lansing, Michigan.
Happy birthday, Bernadette.
Yeah, because Ohtani's up next, and there's no time to be talking about birthdays.
Nope.
Must see TV.
Did it before Bernadette went to bed. Did it before we got to focus on baseball. 1-2 to Edman. Breaks a base hit the other way. Bottom of the Dodger order gets it done. Edman drives in Hernandez, and it's 4-0.
Changeup. He stays on the ball and goes the other way. He's not a hitter that needs to hit for power, but he's a hitter that will just expose where the pitch is and where they're playing defensively. Great job.
Ohtani. So this is the Mets' answer to Tanner Scott. It's totally different than Tanner Scott stuff-wise, but this is the guy they feel best about against Ohtani.
Yeah, again, not overpowering, but tough to pick up. Straight over the top fastball.
Home of the 1-0. Right center field, carrying well off the wall. Edman hits third and comes home. Ohtani's into second. Throw to the plate is not in time. It's a screamer of a double. And what a start for LA.
Well, it's such poetry when he's locked in. He took a hanging breaking ball, and look how perfectly flat that swing is. It just missed being a home run. And aggressive base running by Edman here, and you're going to watch the relay. Watch how Lindor is not really able to clear and throw the ball to home, because Ohtani standing at second base. We'll get a chance to get a look at that. It was one of the, he got in the way. Here's the green light. Throw to Lindor. Now watch this. He's kind of locked and has to throw around Ohtani's head.
That's a big man.
A big man.
That's a big target. Edman scoring all the way from first. 95 miles per hour is considered a hard hit ball. This was 117, and that was inches. He says, whoa, what was that? Curve for a strike on Betts. So Ohtani's 2 out of 3. He's knocked in a pair, and the Dodgers lead game 1 5-0. Through almost 4 innings, this has been a mismatch. Betts hits it sharply. Vientos juggles, recovers, and gets in.
Well, and I know this is sound crazy, but I thought coming into this series, game 1 was more important to the Dodgers than it was to the Mets. Now, both teams want to win, but the Dodgers are probably going to throw a bullpen game tomorrow, right? And that, if the game didn't go as well as it's going tonight, you enter that bullpen and the Mets get what they wanted. Typically, the Mets know they got to win one of the first 2 games here, and they're going to do it a different way.
Ready for him. Ball 1.
They're going to rely from this point on their traditional starting pitching, whereas the Dodgers don't have the depth in their rotation. They're going to rely on the length and strength of their bullpen, and tomorrow Will be interesting to see how Dave Roberts navigates that game.
Freeman's reached both times in this one. He's going to reach again with an opposite field base hit. Here comes Ohtani. Here comes the throw from Nimmo. Not in time. 6-0 Dodgers.
Classic Freddie Freeman. He can go the other way. Lefty on lefty.
Freddie Freeman, a walk, 2 singles, a run scored, and a run batted in. Teoscar Hernandez with 2 away. It's a Baltimore chop back to Peterson, who was not scored on in the first 3 games of his postseason. Dodgers have tagged him for 3 here in the 4th. Shohei Ohtani. Graceful violence. A blur to the wall. We're back after a word from your local Fox station. 6 runs on 7 hits for the Dodgers. No runs on no hits for the Mets. Jack Flaherty pours in a strike to Jesse Winker.
This is where the Mets got to get going a little bit. Of course, they had a couple walks, but Flaherty has been on with his fastball.
That's what you said right off of the start. That's the path forward for Yamamoto the other night. Yeah. Still simple, isn't it?
It really is. I know everybody likes to spin the ball and miss bats, and I get it. And they got some guys very talented to do it. But if you do not command your fastball, you put your secondary stuff in such pressure points.
There's the first hit. Winker into right center field. Leadoff man on here in the 5th.
Both these offenses are very momentous, meaning they can put a 4 spot. Nobody did it more times than the Mets, scoring the most innings with 4 or more runs. And guess what? The Dodgers weren't too far behind them.
And Jesse Winker, who is a likely character to get that hit off of Jack Flaherty, hitting close to 400 against him in his career. Jose Iglesias to the plate. Strike 1. Iglesias flied out his first time after hitting .337 during the regular season. Finished the regular season on a 22-game hitting streak. He's only 6 for 30 in this postseason.
Yeah, stuff like that is uncharacteristic that he wasn't doing in the regular season. But still finding a way to make contact with 2 strikes more than not. Pitching with the lead in the postseason is fun, but what you can't do is you can't say, okay, I've got room for error, meaning I can give up a few because I've got a big lead. I would say that pretend it's 1-0 is easier to do in the postseason than it is the regular season. Regular season is just so long, and you like float around.
The whole building's giving you 1-0 vibes in a postseason game, right?
Correct.
This is the best postseason game that Jack Flaherty's pitched in this ballpark since he was in high school. 2013 sectional championship game with Harvard Westlake. He pitched a shutout. He drove in the only run in a 1-0 win. He was more of a shortstop than he was a pitcher for the first couple of years of his high school career.
Yeah, good athlete.
Delivers a 1-2 to Iglesias in the dirt. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, Joe, Jack Flaherty could have landed with the Yankees instead of the Dodgers at the deadline. But after reviewing Flaherty's medical records, the Yankees backed out of a preliminary trade agreement with the Tigers. The issue with Flaherty was his lower back. He missed a start in July. He received 2 injections in a span of 3 weeks. But he has not missed a start with the Dodgers, and he said his back feels great.
Iglesias gets his bat on it. That's what he does right there with 2 strikes, a chip shot into the gap. Winker is caught here. Throw from Lux to third, and he's out. In a 6-run game, Winker with a no-no on the bases.
Wow, Winker had it easy to third base, and I don't know what made him nervous to slow down. And then you put it perfectly. He was in no man's land. I mean, he got a great jump on this ball, and it's going to be an easy route to third.
turns around and the ball's headed there. Uh-oh. So they gift the Dodgers the first out in this inning. Tyrone Taylor lifts a fly ball the other way, and Mookie Betts will make the catch just like that. 2 out. Owning the Fall is sponsored by Macy's. This is 28 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings for the Dodger pitching staff. They've tied the National League record. They've sailed beyond it. The 1905 New York Giants, led by the Hall of Famer Christine Mathewson, who handled most of those 28 innings. On the verge of 29 here with 2 gone, and the 9-hitter Alvarez up. Line drive, center field. Kike Hernandez flags it down, and Jack Flaherty, with a little help from the Mets, pitches around the leadoff base runner. Beautiful night in LA. Our National League Championship Series on Fox, presented by Lone Depot. Sun is set in Los Angeles. 6-0 Dodgers to the bottom of the 5th. Will Smith leads off. 5, 6, and 7 for LA against David Peterson.
Smith's trying to check in with those other teammates have done. Every one of them have reached base. But Smith.
Ball 1 strike. The Dodger catcher.
What's amazing about last inning, everything changes from pitch selection to everything. First and third, nobody out, versus man on first and 1 out, and that really seems like it just went whoop. And that's the difference in postseason play. You never know how an inning can get away from you. And unfortunately for the Mets, you'll never know, because that inning got over quick after that.
They're going to have first and third, nobody out, top of the order looming.
And you can never go by what the hitters do after that happens, because it's not even close to the same stress and the same pitches. So those kind of things you have to be, and you have to pay attention to in the postseason.
4 count. Muncy and Kike Hernandez to follow for LA in the 5th. On a payoff, Smith takes just off of the plate, and a leadoff walk. You can wear what the players are wearing on the field during the postseason. Check out the largest selection of authentic jerseys, caps, hoodies, t-shirts, and more. MLBshop.com for your favorite postseason team gear.
That's why my only rule I would have in the postseason to a team, you know, when you're talking about managers and their message, don't assume. Don't assume anything. You can do that in the regular season. You can not hustle out a routine ground ball because it's a long year and save your legs. Just don't ever do it in the postseason, because you have a condensed tournament and you never know how that play is going to turn out.
Muncy serves one down the line, just foul. 1 ball and strike. Well, speaking of the managers, got a couple good ones in this series. Dave Roberts in his 9th year, looking for his 2nd ring. 1 all in 2020. Of course, all these things we're talking about with this recent postseason history hanging over this run for the Dodgers, that hung over his head too, fair or not. As the manager, you're going to wear a lot of that. And so while it was a big win for the Dodgers in Game 5 to keep their season going, a huge win for Dave Roberts as well. Kenny, you talked to him a little bit about, you know, the noise on the outside and as far as his job status.
Joe, he recognized that a 3rd straight loss in the division series to a lower seeded NL West opponent might have been it for him. It might not seem fair, but he knew the noise would be loud, and he said there was some part of that was on my mind during the series. He said, I'm not going to lie and say it didn't bleed in, but at the end of the day, he also said he was proud of himself for not letting any of the outside noise or things he could not control affect the way he managed. He said, I had complete clarity, I believed in our players, and they performed.
#1 winning percentage in National League history, Dave Roberts. And as authentic and genuine and caring of a human as you'll meet.
Yeah, that's for sure. And again, I said this last series, I'll say it again. I mean, what would be totally unfair about that narrative once again, he did not have his starters able to pitch. He didn't have his horses. I mean, that is tough, right? That's part of the game. I get it, but I don't think that narrative can continue when you've lost how many pitchers during the year.
Muncy tries to lay off and does. They've had 12 different starters go to the IL.
Well, the roster they built, what they did in the offseason, is kind of the polar opposite of what the Mets didn't do. And it's interesting to see how both teams arrived in this point with opposite approaches.
Payoff. Sky high into right. Marte's there. Once he's retired. Now, Dave Roberts back in 2015 was jumping into the managerial pool. A couple jobs were open. Padres didn't interview him. Dodgers hired him. Now in his 9th season, trying to guide him to their 2nd title in his tenure. First one in a full season since 1988. Always big expectations here. But then the added pressure of falling short in recent seasons. The added pressure of bringing in Shohei Ohtani. And that pressure stays alive as they do. Getting through that division series. Change for a strike on Kike Hernandez. One on Hernandez. Hernandez 1 out of 2 today after the home run to break the scoreless tie. Game 5 against Yu Darvish. As Robert said, the whole reason we got Kike Hernandez was to win 11 games in October. As a young player, he said he used to put a lot of pressure on himself and wasn't great, but has shifted his mindset, and nobody's been better in these spots.
Well, I don't know how much they anticipate he was going to play this postseason, but now he's going to play a lot. Yeah. So it's a good insurance policy.
Partly what he's done, and then partly, like they told us before the game, is this ball threatens the foul pole and just misses, staying fair. But Miguel Rojas out, so there really is no decision now. One way or another, Kike Hernandez will be in the lineup with that trickle-down effect.
Yeah, plus he can play so many different positions, which helps. This ball is about 5 feet. It did not really slice as much as it looked like it was going to.
Bottom of the order as it's done throughout this postseason. Productive again tonight. Smith at first, 1 away, 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Hammer of a curve from Peterson.
I know it's only been 3 games, but it's been 3 really impressive pitching performances and then offense contributing in a big way to the Dodgers really going from uh-oh to, oh, maybe they are the team that's favored to win it all. The way they're playing the last 3 games.
Lux with 2 away. Punches it to short. Lindor circles around it. Graceful play to get Lux and finish off the bottom of the 5th. It'll be Lindor to lead off the 6th. Mets running out of time, down a bunch. Top of the order, though, coming up. Skull Lindor to lead things off for the Mets. And our player profile is sponsored by Liberty Mutual. This season for Lindor, which turned when they moved him into the leadoff spot back in mid-May. He, at that point, was below 200, above 300 since. One of the best all-around players in baseball, and outside of Ohtani, the MVP of the National League.
Yeah, we've got the MVP and the runner-up in this series. But his season changed when his swing speed got a little bit more consistent, mechanically being on time. They have a way of measuring everything, and bat speed started to pick up. Therefore, he started squaring up pitches and hitting a lot of home runs. And to do that, you got to be on time and hitting the barrel, right? And so the back has slowed him down a little bit, I'm sure, but you see what he's done in the wins. The Mets are grateful.
Behind 1-2.
And it's one thing, you can't just go up there and swing hard to get bat speed. You got to be on time and do the things that in the zone, when the pitch is in the zone, have the bat carry through the zone as flat as possible, and then when it's a mistake, crush it.
One-two from Flaherty. Fastball's fought off foul.
And that's where he's vulnerable. And that one he got to, but he can get up over the middle of the plate above, right around where it says New York. He will swing at that pitch.
Back up there to finish him off.
That's what you got to expose. Great job by Flaherty and getting it over the middle of the plate to entice the hitter to swing at it.
Let's go down to Tom Verducci.
Yeah, I was watching David Peterson come off the mound after that last inning, and you got the handshake from Carlos Mendoza, meaning his job is done. Remember, Carlos told us he put Peterson in the game to allow his offense a chance to come back. Well, the deficit actually has grown, so now you're at the point. In a low leverage situation, do you really want to burn one of your best bullpen weapons? And the answer clearly is no, even with Shohei Ohtani due up second next inning. Has to manage the game differently according to the score.
As Vientos flies out to right field. So, I mean, the way Jack Flaherty's setting the Dodgers up in the first game of this series, Carlos Mendoza trying to do his best to save face for his team.
Yeah, well, again, good thing it's best of 7. If this was best of 5, it might be a totally different strategy and a little more urgency. But the one thing about a best of 7, game 1s are always important, but they're not as significant in a game 7 than they are as statistically proven in a game in best of 5. So that helps the narrative, even if the Mets do not come back and win this game. But the fastball for Jack Flaherty has been outstanding. There's not been one hit recorded off of his fastball tonight.
29 straight scoreless innings for Jack Flaherty, or for the Dodgers staff. Cut and a miss on the slider, 2-1. He's on the verge of being the first Dodger pitcher in 21 postseason games to go 6 full innings. Have to go back to Max Scherzer in the division series in 21. Fly ball left field. Tasker Hernandez. Does he have room? He does. Makes a little more for himself. Reaching over the wall. Jack Flaherty with 6 scoreless innings. The Dodgers with 6 runs. And after 6 innings in game 1, it is all LA. And 3 in the 4th for the Dodgers. They lead game 1 6-0 to the bottom of the 6th. And Danny Young is on to pitch for the Mets with 9-1-2 coming up for LA. His first one to Tommy Edman is at the bottom of the zone for a strike.
You can see his arm ankle, and you can see he could be tough on left-handers.
Didn't even warm up during the division series, so that sheds a little light on where Mendoza's going, what parts of the pen he's going to here. They are with 1 fewer pitcher on the postseason roster, as the guys detailed before the game for us. And when you have 2 guys you don't use at all in the division series, you feel probably okay doing that. They didn't use Young, they didn't use Ottavino, so able to add Jeff McNeil instead of another pitcher. 2-1 on Edman.
Yeah, you're looking at your roster and seeing who matches up well. Sometimes you're facing a team where certain guys, Arsenal just doesn't match up well against the other team, and those are tough decisions to make because that player is with you all year.
Chopper to short, Lindor. 1 away. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Pfizer. Outdo yesterday. And by Progressive Insurance, cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more. Ohtani doing in game 1 of the championship series what he did in game 1 of the division series. Couple hits, run batted in, run scored. Fouls off Young's first pitch.
Well, that fastball was supposed to be away. I would imagine now he's got to throw a breaking ball after that pitch, that arm angle. Lefty on lefty, the danger zone is middle in. A left-handed batter stay actually in the plate longer against a left-handed pitcher.
A little after 11 a.m. tomorrow in Tokyo right now. Eyes of that wonderful baseball country right here on Los Angeles, wherever Ohtani goes. It's been a few huge days for the Japanese baseball world, right? Yeah, the other night, Yu Darvish against Yamamoto. Today, Senga facing off with Ohtani.
That, I don't think anyone was going to be able to hit that last pitch.
Won't even try on that one. 2-2. Ohtani, the native of Oshu, Japan. A couple-hour train ride from Tokyo up north. On this 2-2, sends it in the air to center field. Carries pretty well. To the wall goes Taylor, and he's got it. Just missed it, which is crazy because he's out leaning over the plate and looked like he didn't get anything on it.
Well, that's how strong he is. I mean, you know, late at night here with the wind blowing a little bit in towards right field, that's the difference. But he's so strong. He can keep his hands back even if he gets a little out front and just, like you said, 3/4 swing it. It's amazing.
2 up and 2 down for Young. And here's Mookie Betts. Backdoor for a strike. Betts 0 for 2. Walked and scored in the first inning. Sounded like he cracked his bat. And Young, in his first appearance of the postseason, goes 1-2. This is relatively new territory for the Dodgers. Jack Flaherty, the first starting pitcher to go this deep into the game in 20 postseason games. 3 years ago, Max Scherzer, Game 3 against the Giants in the division series. And Flaherty at 86 pitches. Figure at this point, 6-run lead. Just faced the top of the order. You're going to have him empty the tank here. As far as that pitch count you're comfortable doing. Strike 1 on Pete Alonso. Sets you up for tomorrow, too. By the way, defensive change here. Kike Hernandez is now at second base. Kevin Kiermaier into the game in center. The postseason roster here for the championship series. 1 ball, 1 strike. The initial thought was, okay, they'll go Buehler game 2 and then bullpen game 3. But perfect world is you don't start that 3 games and 3-day stretch by taxing your bullpen. You do that before the off day and then have Buehler in game 3.
Yeah, that's exactly what they plan on doing. Of course, they still want to finish out this game, but it sure helps that your starter's gone at least 6.
Through to Alonso. Grounded to short. Backhand to Edman.
Well, this is how he's gotten it done. You're going to have the blue representing the curveball. You're going to have the yellow representing the slider. And then the last pitch is going to be his fastball. And he has been in command with the exception of those 2 walks. And Google Cloud is telling us everything you need to know.
Almost everything.
Almost.
Yeah. Fox Foresight. Thanks to Google Cloud for powering these real-time insights. Charlie Marte with 1 away. Chops it foul. This is the first time Jack Flaherty has gotten an out in the 7th inning in more than a month. For a lot of his time with the team and his 2 months after they traded for him, he was the surest thing, but ran out of gas down the stretch. Wasn't the same the last few starts. That continued into his first start in the division series. But in the same way Yoshinobu Yamamoto on Friday night restored some faith in what he can be, Jack Flaherty doing the same tonight.
Yeah, he sure has. And, you know, you always, if you're given another chance to learn something and you can go out there right away and make that connection, and whether it was a little bit nerves or whether it was not handling the emotion or whether it was mechanical, it's a great feeling to go out and then put up kind of this performance to validate that work.
0-2. Flaherty, Yamamoto, Buehler. in the division series first time around, gave up 15 runs in those 3 games. And now you got 5 scoreless from Yamamoto on Friday night. Into the 7 scoreless here for Flaherty today. It's totally changing the temperature over the Dodgers and their chances to win a long series and win the World Series.
Yeah, I know. I liken it to the first week of the season right out of spring training when everybody either falls off the bandwagon or jumps on. This team's great. No, this team stinks. And
driven to deep center field. Back goes Kiermaier on the track. He's got it. 2 out.
And that narrative has surrounded the Dodgers all the way up to being down 2-1. Maybe the Padres are better. Here we go again. You got to put that noise away, but you really, bottom line is you got to execute. And they started executing from that point to where we are tonight.
31 straight scoreless innings.
And oh, by the way, some pretty good offenses too that they're faced.
Pretty good center fielder right there. Ball always finds you, and it does Kiermaier as he checks in. Flaherty an out away from 7 scoreless innings, and with Jesse Winker's got one of the 2 hits in this game. And wiped away the good from that by making the out on the bases. Fly to left center field. Kiermaier and Teoscar Hernandez, and it's 7 scoreless innings for Jack Flaherty in Game 1 of the championship series.
Dishes tonight.
Arrow continues to point out for these Dodgers. Jack Flaherty 7 shutout innings. 6-0 bottom of the 7th. Freddie Freeman leads off and takes a ball from Danny Young. Perfect night for Freddie Freeman. 2 hits, a walk, run batted in, and a run scored.
I wonder if Dave Roberts takes a chance after this at bat and takes out Freddie Freeman.
Grounded to first, easy one for Alonso. Well, 1 away in the 7th, and a quick word from Evan Williams Bourbon.
Reach for a fan favorite, Evan Williams 1783 small batch. When bourbon's done right, people notice.
Sean Manaea, who is a really tough left-hander, goes to mound for the Mets, and Dave Roberts said, hey, we'll see how Freddie is, but day game after night game with the way that ankle is and facing Manaea, who knows, maybe wind up being a good spot to get him a little extra rest. Good luck, though, telling him that. Almost hits Teoscar Hernandez for the first pitch. And that's hope for the Mets if this one were to not turn around, that they have Manaea going, and that continues to be the category where they have to feel like they have the greatest advantage, the starting rotation, because as magical as the offense has been with the big swings here lately, the rotation has been magnificent the last couple months.
They have. In every tight game, their starters battled the opposing starters and kept it close so that they could win late. And I think that's so misunderstood, is that a lot of credit be given to the Mets offense for those rallies, but it was their starters that gave them a chance for that to happen. Like tonight, 6-0. You rally from 6-0 against a team in the playoffs, you're really doing something. It usually doesn't happen.
Been the best starting staff in the National League since the start of September, with a bunch of guys. None of them are going to overwhelm you with stuff. They have an old school approach. They're getting deep into games consistently. Walk for Hernandez, Manaea, Severino, Quintana. And this was the huge question coming into the year, was the starting pitching, and then they lose Senga. But these guys right here have delivered.
Well, those guys who were coming back from some injuries or having some past injuries, so they took a chance, and that chance paid off because Severino's been outstanding. We already talking about Manaea. Quintana goes under the wire because he's just a pitcher.
Pitch and change coming up here. Danny Young's postseason debut is a good one. Each season, the Hank Aaron Award is given to the best overall offensive performer in each league. Cast your vote for the 2024 award by scanning the QR code or enter at MLB.com/Aaron. 6-0 LA. Jose Butto, the pitcher for the Mets. 1-on-1 out here in the 7th inning, and Will Smith at the plate. Fastball is by him, and strike one. Buto moved from the rotation to the bullpen in July. Had a 2 ERA since. Looks like Freddie's finished, removing the tape from that ankle, letting it breathe a little bit. A ball, 1 strike. This is the first time Buto's pitched since Sunday. Only pitched in Game 2 of the division series. Some much needed rest for a guy who needs a few days. It's a longtime starter who's moved into the pen and doing something new, not recovering quickly.
He's got a good arm, and the Mets bullpen can handle their own. Probably not the depth that the Dodgers bullpen has, but they haven't had to rely on it as much as the Dodgers have because they're starting pitcher.
And today was going to be the tough one, right? With Senga and Peterson.
Yep.
But you've got 3 legitimate guys coming up, 2 through 4. Kodai Senga just 1 1/3 today. Only 10 hitters faced, and then Peterson gave up his first runs of the postseason. Dodgers, after the 2-0 win in Game 5 against the Padres, up 6-0 in Game 1 here. And trying to do something that's only been done twice in postseason history. That is throw 3 consecutive shutouts. They were on the wrong end of it the last time that it happened in the 1966 World Series against the Orioles. And then the aforementioned 1905 New York Giants. Smith is down on strikes, 2 away. Well, after an incredible win over Ohio State, Heisman contender Dylan Gabriel leads second-ranked Oregon against Purdue on Fox Football Friday. It all kicks off at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, Friday night, only on Fox. You were locked into that one at dinner last night.
Oh, yeah. That was a great college preview to the playoffs. Both those teams are going to be in the playoffs, Ohio State and Oregon.
Muncy take ball 1. Drove in the first 2 runs of this game. Big swing. I mean, at this point, looks like just one of many, but Dodgers had Senga on the ropes there. He had a chance to wiggle off, but Muncy got him for a 2-out, 2-run hit.
The Dodgers gave the Mets a little bit of their medicine that they did well all year. They got a lot of 2-out runs on the year, but in the postseason, those are backbreakers. Those are like, could have scored, didn't tag, didn't have that run come in, and then you said it. I mean, changed everything.
Fly the other way. That is Nimmo, and that's the 7. 6-0 LA to the 8th. Jack, newly retired, enjoying a front row seat at Dodger Stadium. Judd Apatow is here as well. All these games have been star-packed. Often is in Los Angeles, but especially with what the Dodgers are doing. Ken Jung, big Dodger fan. Jason Bateman, golf buddy of John Smoltz and Dodger fan. Jose Iglesias leads off, takes a strike from Daniel Hudson. It'll be sure a star-studded cast of characters in New York as well as this series shifts to Citi Field on Wednesday night. So it's Daniel Hudson. The Dodger bullpen goes to work. Hudson's role going to increase with Alex Vesia not on the roster here. A couple defensive changes. Freeman is out. Muncy flips over to first. Hernandez goes second to third, and Chris Taylor's in.
Great fastball slider. Slider disappears off of a good fastball arm action.
Hudson, for much of this year, was one of the most trusted guys, but really struggled down the stretch. Had a +6 ERA the last 2 months. 3 games, though, in the division series. Didn't give up a run. The velocity was back a little bit. Goes full on Iglesias. Part of this bullpen, 8 scoreless innings in Game 4. 8 pitchers with a shutout in Game 4. And 4 perfect innings in Game 5. Payoff. Scoreless inning streak has reached 31 for the Dodgers. We're on the brink of elimination. Leadoff walk for Iglesias. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Here with Jack Flaherty. Jack, Game 1 of the NLCS, 7 scoreless innings. What made you so successful tonight?
Trusting my stuff, trusting Will back there. Will called a really good game. We had a really good game plan going into things. Defense played great. That play Kike made was unbelievable. Kind of changed that inning there. So, but trying to fill up the zone.
Knowing tomorrow might be a bullpen game, how much responsibility did you feel to go deep into this one?
You can't think about those things. You got to go one game at a time, one pitch at a time. And so today, I just tried to go out and do my job until Doc said that was it. And like I said, Will did a really good job calling the game.
All right, you grew up nearby. You've been a Dodger fan your whole life. What's it like pitching playoff games here at Dodger Stadium with your mom in attendance?
It's cool. You know, I saw her in her seat before the game, you know, because and it was just kind of it makes things feel at home, and it's a little bit more you know, relax a little bit. Like, you know, you got family here and whatnot, and you know, everybody they got your back no matter what. So you just these are dreams come true, and it's just a lot of fun.
Jack, thanks a lot. Joe, back to you.
Jeff McNeil gets his first at-bat in more than a month and doesn't wait around. He slaps it up the middle, and it's caught for the first out of the inning. Here's how Flaherty did it, John.
Yeah, he did it with a variety of breaking balls. He also mixed in a fastball on top of the zone, but he can spin it. And when he was throwing strikes like this, it's tough on any team. And there's the strikeout breakdown. You got the one top of the zone, you got one below, and then everything else is off the plate. And he basically had everything working in his favor.
Statcast 3D powered by Google Cloud as Alvarez fights it off foul. 1 away in this 8th inning. Jack's mom Eileen sitting there with a front row seat. Their old tradition, they'd come to games, sit in the reserve level, and Jack would get a soft pretzel, no salt, extra cheese. Seems a little weird. Gotta have the salt. Base hit for Alvarez into center field. And he'd split some nachos. Watch the Dodgers. He said about 100 games growing up to come in here. I mean, this has got to be, I would think you really have to tunnel vision yourself, like to not get completely overwhelmed by the circumstances.
Well, for sure. I mean, when you think about pitching here at Dodger Stadium in high school, and then just transpose yourself into a NLCS game.
Well, Francisco Lindor is trying to make this a game. Mets in these late innings where they've been different. Strike one. 26 runs in 26 innings against bullpens so far. And 2 good bullpens, Milwaukee and Philadelphia.
Yeah, they those antennas went up late.
Quickly 0-2 though.
But like I said,
not the way to live.
No, you can't live that way. And for the Mets to win this series, they're going to have to win the battle of the starting pitching. Now tomorrow that'll be different again because it more than likely is going to be all bullpen guys. But they can't wait too late if they think they can continue their magic against this bullpen. It's a different bullpen, and they showed what they could do when forced to use 8 pitchers in a 9-inning shutout in an elimination game.
Francisco Lindor, 2 on with 1 out. The 1-2 pitch from Hudson, fouled off Smith. Lindor's grand slam in game 4, just the latest huge swing in a season full of them for him and for the team. They can just keep one-upping each other. Biggest swing ever, followed by bigger swing.
Talk about that area back foot slider. That one was too low out of his hand. You also talk about the only two areas that you can go to Lindor is above the letters, fastball up, and then make that pitch look like a fastball on the inner part of the plate, diving to his back foot. And that's what Hudson tried to do right there, and just came out like a ball right out of his hand.
Now 2-2. It is a fastball that Lindor gets to and smokes to center, but it hangs in there for Kiermaier. 2 away. For Vientos. When you look at the arc of the Mets season, so many different things you can point to as the pivot point. Mark Vientos coming up, getting his real chance to play every day. Probably not talked about enough as one of those key moments.
And sticking with him, right? And then set him down, bring him back up, and just stick with him and see if he can make the natural adjustments every hitter has to make. Once pitchers figure it out, you got to make an adjustment. He did.
0 for 3 today after 4 straight multi-hit games in the division series.
I mean, this game is all about adjustments. The league is going to figure out a way to get somebody out, and then when it's shared by watching, you go, oh, I didn't know you could get them out on that, and then they start doing that, and then once that gets closed, once the hitter goes, okay, I got to shut that door, then pitchers have to go to another area because the hitter makes that adjustment.
And I say even more quickly in this postseason, he's closed stuff off and looked ahead of his ears at just 24. 2 on, 2 out. Trying to scratch and claw here, down 6 in the 8th. 7 scoreless innings from Jack Flaherty. Daniel Hudson taking over here. Walk and a single from the bottom of the order. And now Vientos. Oh boy, that pitch was low, but home plate umpire Jeremy Rehat gives Hudson the strike, and it's 1-2. Incredible pitching from the Dodgers. Frustrating the Mets, who came in flying high, but the Dodger pitching staff nails for a week. In service, get more with Geico. Flying through Dodger Stadium, which has been revved up. The Game 5 win on Friday night, and this Game 1 6-0 lead as Kike Hernandez leads off the last of the 8th. Buto stays in. Hernandez, who's 1 for 3, takes ball 1. Harrison Bader's into the game in center field for New York. The one New York team starting its championship series tonight. Got another one starting it tomorrow. Yankees and Guardians start the American League Championship Series. Carlos Rodon and Alex Cobb over on TBS.
Tell you what, the New York sports fan has
into center field for Hernandez and dunks in front of Bader.
They have a lot of action going on.
Got Monday Night Football tomorrow.
Giants tonight.
Yeah.
Mets. Jets tomorrow night. Yankees.
There are some people that would like to remind you that the Buffalo Bills are also in New York. So same game, but yeah. How about that? Just making sure. How about Buffalo being in New York? Postseason continues. 3 o'clock Eastern. Coverage begins. Dodgers and Mets in Game 2. And then the Guardians and the Yankees, the top 2 seeds in the American League. 7:30 Eastern. The Yanks trying to get to the World Series for the first time since 2009. Kevin Kiermaier, his first at-bat of the postseason. We did get word, by the way, that Gavin Lux left the game with hip tightness. Hip flexor tightness, just precautionary. So that's why Kiermaier's in. And they move pieces around to backfill for Lux. Defensive ace right here, longtime Tampa Bay Ray, and went to the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Dodgers got him at the deadline. One ball, one strike. Yeah, what a time to be a baseball fan in New York. Both teams in the championship series.
Crazy.
Yeah, the Yankees for a lot of the year looked like they could be there. The Mets more and more as the year went on. But man, oh man, to have them both there at this time of year. City just on fire.
And again, same like the Dodgers, so much pressure on the Yankees. Right? Put together a team, made a trade for Soto.
The stadium, this fan base have been so charged up these couple days. Dodgers have been back here. You sense some relief, but then elation on top of that. Like, okay, maybe our team's going to do it this time. Maybe this year's different. And they were hoping coming in that they were different just from how they had to get here. Because in previous years, 22-game win in the division, then a 16-game win in the division, and then they got to flip a switch and they get to the postseason, and they couldn't. They were pushed right until the end this year.
Well, the biggest hurdle both those teams had to, and I say both, New York and LA, you know, there's been an issue with the 5-day rest, and teams have not moved on. And now we've gotten 3 this year moving on, which is good, because that narrative was starting to run the wrong way. You know, you reward the best team to give them a break to face a team that had to come in using their resources.
Alonso has this, a 52nd high, and off the bag is Lindor. High throw from Alonso. Everybody's safe. Yeah, that's an error on Alonso.
Yeah, this one he tried to float over the head and just got a palm ball, like a changeup. And he really never looked like he had the grip. And as soon as he tossed it, Lindor could only just catch it off the base.
Second Mets error. Been a while since defense has been much of an issue for him. Much tighter as this year has gone on. Couple runners aboard. Dodgers trying to add on. Tommy Edman quietly has had himself a nice night. Sacrifice bunt to set up a run in the second inning. Knocked in a run and scored a run in the fourth. Bunts it again, this time foul.
I wonder if he did that on his own, or that was the call in a 6-0 game here in the 8th. Are we in the 8th or 7th?
8th.
I just looked at my scorecard. We are on the 8th.
Yep, confirmed. He was doing it again here. No, swings away. And it's 0-2. So the earlier start time tomorrow. Back at it quickly. Game 2. Manaea for the Mets. Likely bullpen game for the Dodgers. And it will be a well-rested pen after the 7 scoreless from Jack Flaherty. Teams fly to New York afterwards. 3 games in 3 days beginning on Wednesday. Citi Field was on fire during the division series. Can't wait to get there.
Oh, man.
See that place in the postseason. They love the baseball, and they love these Mets in particular. Magic group.
Looks like the weather's going to be good, too.
Yeah, postseason kind of weather, right? 50s and 60s. Banda and Kasperius. Could this be the cast of characters, this lovable cast of characters that, like Francisco Lindor was saying, gets free meals for the rest of their life in New York? Could they join the 86 club and the 69 club? Edman serves it to center field. It floats up there for Harrison Bader on the first out. And Ohtani with another at-bat here. 2 hits today.
Yeah, look at this swing path. This is great technology. You see where he catches the ball out front. That was a ground ball at 102, by the way, on a cutter. And then this one right here carries off about 116 miles an hour. Just misses a home run. But see how the barrel of the bat just gives that perfect arc. He catches one out front, and that's the one he hits on the ground ball. Timing more perfect. Launching that one in the air.
Here he is with runners in scoring position, and this is one of the hints as the season went on what he might be like when the games got big and the postseason got big. 16 out of his last 19 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and that's the pressure put on the opposing pitcher. They know how great he is at the plate. Room for error goes way down. And when you got the best player in the universe, you don't want to face him with runners on. I would think there was a good meeting in the mound, trying to give up its strategy, but I would think he's going to be very aggressive on this first pitch, trying to continue the action and offense for the Dodgers. But he went way away.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oof.
You got to be soft away. Every once in a while, you got to make him honest down by his feet, inside part, breaking the ball. But there's no easy way, and can't do it the same way every single time.
You know you're famous when people are wearing your dog as necklaces. His dog Decoy. He's got Decoy on his shoes.
See, I learned something every game.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
About Decoy. The whole big thing is this giant mystery what his dog's name was. And there's a rumor put out there that the dog's name was Dodger when he was going into free agency, and that's why he didn't want to let anybody know. Turns out he just didn't care to share with the world what his dog's name was. It was Decoy. 4-pitch walk to load the bases, and Ohtani's on for the 3rd time today. You know, as amazing as he's been as a player, and, you know, the 50-50 season, different than everybody, the Dodgers do talk about how he's really become just one of the guys. Like, as impossible as that seems like it may be, he laughs with them, he jokes with them, he's let his emotions come out.
I mean, if you think about it, he was playing with the other great player in forever when he was healthy, and Mike Trout. Now he's collectively around him are a lot of really good players. So he has stolen the show in the first year. He will steal it again next year when he pitches, by the way. And then the question will be how long he can do both for the foreseeable future.
What would make it a success of a contract?
Really, it's
in terms of doing both.
Well, winning 2 championships.
Okay, that's the bottom line,
yeah.
huh?
Because he's already proven what he can do if he doesn't pitch. And you would never think the impact as a DH would be as great as this year was, and certainly he proved what he can do when he doesn't have the stress of pitching.
Yeah, he's going to be the first DH to win MVP. Bats to the bases loaded. Pulls one by third and down the line. Floodgates opening. Hernandez into score. Kiermaier into score. Ohtani's coming in as well. Betts has unloaded the bases. And a game 1 party in LA. That basketball run you were talking about?
Yeah.
23-0.
Yeah, that's hard to fathom. At this time of the year, I don't know that that's ever been done. We're going to find out, but
ball on Taylor, and that is since their season was sitting on thin ice. 1 loss away from the same demise. Phillies haven't given up a run since. Two and oh. Nine runs on 9 hits. 7 walks in this game. Taking advantage of a couple errors as well. This is ugly of a game as the Mets have played in weeks at least.
Yeah, and you know what? You shed it. It's one game. No big deal. Mets will not be fazed by this one bit. Sometimes it's actually easier to lose a game like this in the postseason, even though you're starting out, coming off some emotional highs. The backbreakers are the one-run losses, you know, late or something that you got to think about more than this was just kind of a.
Scooped up at third by Vientos. So get Taylor. At third goes Betts. And look, the whole deal with this team all year has been responding and coming back. They've come back in the standings. They've come back within games. Now they're going to try to come back in a series.
But those two guys will be very responsible for slowing down what has now become a very hot offense in the Dodgers.
John, how about this? We already got the answer to your question. Second longest quote-unquote run in postseason history. There's 23 straight runs. The 96 Braves had 25 in a row. Bet you had a few of the zeros on the other side.
96 Braves?
Yeah.
That was in that down 3-1 to the St. Louis Cardinals stretch, maybe, and then
sounds right. Yeah,
going into the Yankees, winning the first 2 games, and then I blacked out. I don't remember what happened after that.
That's convenient because
totally blacked out.
Strike on Hernandez.
Did we win that?
One strike. I'm also blacking out at the moment, so you might have to Google that yourself. No, it didn't end great.
We did not.
You've referenced that many times, though, in our years together as just how quickly things can change. And you're either flying or you think there's no shot to stop a team, and then everything changes. This time of year, it's on a dime.
It is. It is. It takes a special group of people to just band together and go, don't pay attention to it. Everything can turn in a second, just when you think. Like this right here is a perfect example. As unbelievably dominant as the Dodgers have been, it can turn too for the Mets. One great pitching performance, it can turn. And I think Dave Roberts does a good job making sure his team realizes that. Like, hey, focus. One inning at a time, one at bat at a time.
Alonso's out of room. Would have been easy to have an emotional letdown tonight.
Well, yeah, and more than that, it's just human nature. You beat the rivals in your division, the team that knocked you out last time. It can be exhausting. But even as you celebrate, you go, okay, that's it. Once the celebration's over, they understand their task is bigger than anybody else's. They're supposed to get to the World Series and win. So step 1 out of the way, then you refocus on step 2, and you face a dangerous New York Mets team who has a different expectation about them.
Hernandez down on strikes. That'll do it for the Dodgers in the 8th. They had 3 more on Betts double. To the 9th we go. Trying to beat the traffic. Even Dodger Stadium. On to the 9th inning we go. Ben Kasparius makes his postseason debut. And Luis Angel Acuna, the younger brother of the MVP, Ronald Acuna, is up there for the Mets. Made his debut in mid-September when Lindor got hurt. Played really well. 14 games, hit above 300. Gives him a speed element.
He sure did. He had some lightning in his bat there, as does his brother.
1 ball and 2 strikes. 22 years of age is Luis Angel. Came over in the Max Scherzer deal last year from Texas. Digs it out, shallow center. Chris Taylor for the first out of the night. Dodgers have been playing baseball for 135 years. Game 4 on Wednesday was their largest shutout win in postseason history at 8-0. 2 games later, they are on the verge of topping that. 135 years of history, twice in 3 games, going to one-up it. And on the verge of matching the all-time postseason record for consecutive scoreless innings. Pete Alonso with one away, pulls it down the line, foul. They would match team that did it to them in the 1966 World Series. The Baltimore Orioles didn't give up a run after the 3rd inning of Game 1 here at Dodger Stadium. And in Game 2, it was a 20-year-old Jim Palmer that beat Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax's final game in the big leagues. It was Palmer's really coming out party. Game 2 World Series shutouts, and then games 3 and Game 4, the Orioles had to be that good. 1-0 in both games for the sweep. Alonso, who's 0 for 2, is walked. Sends this one way up there, so high that it disappears for a moment. It comes back into Tommy Edmonds' field of vision. 2 gone in the 9th. So this magic Mets run, a bit of a detour here in Game 1. They'll look to respond tomorrow behind Sean Manaea. The Dodgers just hope they don't wake up. 32 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings on a night where their offense explodes for 9 runs. Well-oiled machine the last few games.
Yeah, they've taken advantage of everything that has been presented to them. Now, let's not forget the elimination game. They only scored 2. But they still hadn't given anything up. So the breathing room in the 2 out of the 3 games has been rather large. I wouldn't anticipate any of the games remaining to be like this. So you enjoy it, and you know that you're going to be playing a lot of tight games the rest of the way.
Casparius to Marte with a 1-2. Daytime postseason baseball tomorrow always feels special. Game 2, Dodgers and Mets right here. 2-2 from Casparius. That's only 3 hits in this game. 3 singles, had a few walks. Not much of a threat. And this one, Game 1 one-sided. 9-0. The Dodgers over the Mets. They've tied the major league record, 33 consecutive scoreless innings in the postseason, having last allowed a run at 6:45 on Tuesday night. They fell into a 6-1 hole, and Fernando Tatis shook Petco Park with a home run and put the Dodgers on the brink of their season ending. They've responded with an historic stretch, outscoring their opponents 23-0. And the pitching historically good. So the Mets will look to wipe this one quickly. Less than 24 hours from now, we'll have a shot to get back at the Dodgers with Game 2 in Sean Manaea.
And that's the good thing. It's short. It's a short turnaround, so you don't have to sleep on it or think much about it.
Now, from the start, this place was roaring. The players were smiling. They had 2-run first inning. They got another run in the second. Jack Flaherty, though, the story tonight, Dodgers get 7 scoreless innings from Flaherty. Had not had a pitcher go 6 innings in the postseason in 3 years.
Yeah, he was great. He established himself real early, set the tone for the Dodgers.